For its June 2024 exhibition, the Peninsula Gallery invited 6 contemporary artists to challenge their technical skills by painting in the manner of historic masters. Jacalyn Beam, Sydney McGinley, Nina Mickelsen, Joe Milligan, Nick Serratore, and Nancy Richards-West have created a collection of new work that honors a famous artist they have selected while maintaining their own unique style and aesthetic. In this video, we will explore the history of each historic artist, their artistic legacy, and how our contemporary painters use their style as the basis for the pieces they created for this exhibition. This is Homage To. Sesshu Toyo was a Japanese monk and painter who is considered a great master of the Japanese ink painting, also known as sumi-e. Initially inspired by the Chinese landscape, Sesshu's work holds a distinctly Japanese style that reflects Zen Buddhist aesthetics. Sumi-e is done on rice paper with black ink and special brushes. Sesshu captured images of landscapes, portraits, birds, and flowers in his paintings, which were infused with Zen Buddhist beliefs, flattened perspectives, and emphatic lines. His legacy lies in the emphasis on Zen Buddhism, personal interpretations, and economic expression, all of which can be seen in his artwork, and that were later embraced by succeeding Japanese artists. For this exhibition, Nancy Richards-West produced sumi-e paintings that replicate Sesshu's soft, misty scenes and firm, energetic strokes, allowing her contemporary images to evoke a time-worn appearance.
The artist that I chose is Sesshu Toyo, who was a Japanese painter from the 15th century. And it was so hard because I had no one to show me how he painted. Obviously, he was a landscape painter, and a lot of my regular sumi-e work is animals and more intimate subjects. So that by itself was a challenge because I had to switch subjects totally, and I had to learn how to do the ink washes, which I've never been able to do. He worked in black and white, but he showed dimension in his work by the intensity of the color, how thick the lines were. I have some pieces here that have color in them. He did not use color, but it was just fun to throw that little part in. So I chose him because he was a challenge, and I could never master those effects of atmosphere before, but I studied his work so hard and I threw out so many paintings that eventually I got to the point where I was sort of getting it.
Born in Bridgeville, Delaware, Edward Redfield was an impressionist landscape painter best known for his depictions of the snow-covered countryside of New Hope, Pennsylvania. Redfield gained an international reputation for his accurate and detailed recordings of nature that were made in one go while painting in plein air. His canvases have a heavy impasto, painting with many vertical lines to ground the image. He used dabs of bold color against one another to produce vibrating forms, diffusing into patterns of color. His brushstrokes evoke strength and confidence, highlighting that there was no hesitation in his mark-making. For Homage To, Jacalyn Beam has produced images that mimic Redfield's well-known scenery, brushwork, and style, most notably in the winter landscapes she features.
I'm known as an Impressionist painter, and over the last 2 decades, people have said that I really resemble the Bucks County Impressionists, and as I looked into it, I can see why they say that. I had the occasion to meet Edward Redfield's granddaughter, who lives in the New Hope region, and she was very gracious in telling me more about her father. Edward was very much into his family and painting, and he loved the landscape. He loved being outdoors and would often revisit the same place over and over. His subject matter was typically historical as well as the landscape. He used a lot of broken colors, and he just loved plein air painting. I picked paintings of snow, of course, to pay homage to Edward Redfield, and I also picked some of the ocean. There was a time when Edward Redfield was painting ocean scenes, and that was something that I learned as I revisited his biography.
Although born in Pennsylvania, Mary Cassatt spent the majority of her artistic career in Europe, where she exhibited her paintings with other prominent Impressionist artists such as Monet and Degas. Unlike her male peers, Cassatt depicted the new woman of the 19th century from a fellow woman's perspective. Her artistic portrayals of women gave an authentic agency to the female gaze, making the everyday woman she depicted an active observer with real engagement in the environment around them. A large portion of her portraitures were of mother and child, highlighting this primal relationship with warmth and attention. By choosing to depict more humble feminine environments, Cassatt effectively allowed scenes of women, their labor, friendships, and personal life to be celebrated as high art. The correlation between Sidney McGinley's and Cassatt's artwork lie in their figurative paintings, as both women capture the essence of the female form.
I find a similarity with Mary Cassatt because we both take our work as work, not necessarily women's work, but it is work from early morning until dinner time, and we respect the work hour and the work ethic. We both prepare many sketches and thumbnail pieces of color and work to prepare ourselves for the painting itself. We just don't stand in front of a blank canvas and let very little interfere with it. There are times when Mary had to stop working to take care of her family, as well as I did, and we both, I believe we both learned to live through that. We learned to live with the outside world and society, and yet keep respect for the hours that we put into the work. I find that her work is dramatic, and I think a line shows drama, and it can also show peace and intimacy. I feel that that more or less completes a painting.
Andrew Wyeth is a celebrated American artist who specialized in realist watercolor paintings. His favorite subjects were the land and the people on it, both in his hometown of Chatsford, Pennsylvania, and at his summer home in Maine. Despite the everyday subject of his work, his images are filled with a haunting sense of urgency and foreboding dread. While his work has been deemed melancholic, the artist preferred to describe it as thoughtful. He typically created dozens of studies on a subject in pencil or loosely brushed watercolor before executing a finished painting, either in watercolor, dry brush, or egg tempera. His paintings are precise and detailed, yet he moves them beyond photographic naturalism by embedding in them a sense of subjective emotion. Wyeth serves as Joe Milligan's muse for this showcase, with Milligan embracing Wyeth's atmospheric, moody, and rustic subjects. Like Wyeth, Joe's paintings are void of people, but their presence and spirit are always there, even if it's just fleeting.
Andrew Wyeth's an inspiration to me, not just in technique, but also in subject matter and how he tried to capture simple things, but even show the complexity in simple things. And I think I try and put that into a lot of my paintings as well, finding similar subjects as Andrew Wyeth because I enjoy the beach, I enjoy the mountains, I enjoy the simple things and the calm things. I find the solitude of Andrew Wyeth's paintings very simple, but very pleasing and very calming, and that's what I try and paint in my work as well. I've been an Andrew Wyeth fan my entire art career, and I find that the peacefulness of his paintings is something that I try and build into my artwork as well.
Wolf Kahn was born in Germany and immigrated to the United States in 1940. He worked primarily in oil and pastel, embracing his own personal vision of nature as his subject. Kahn was an artist who embodied a synthesis of artistic traits: the modern abstract training of Hans Hofmann, the palette of Matisse, the sweeping bands of color of Rothko, and the atmospheric qualities of American Impressionism. The fusion of color, spontaneity, and representation has produced a rich and expressive body of work. For many years, Nick Serratore has been influenced by the style and philosophy of Wolf Kahn. Nick's technique harkens back to Kahn's mark-making, which juxtaposes contrasting colors to blend warm and dark hues.
I discovered Wolf Kahn probably in the early 2000s. He's able to do stuff with pastel that I always dreamed of doing, but hadn't done. I think this idea was in my head, but I never acted on it until I saw his work. I was so used to doing everything in detail, very, being fussy, rendering the painting, and what he was able to do with his work it's like a combination of traditional and abstract, which is something I like. He was able to showcase the essence of the object or essence of the scene. He stripped away the detail, and there was the form. Most of my work is very atmospheric, it's very kind of moody, it's quiet, and I wanted to take it to the next edge. I wanted to start incorporating colors into it, and again, the big thing was stripping away the detail. Everything I paint to this day, I think of Wolf Kahn, and I find my work being so much inspired by him. You can see a little bit in everything I do.
A multimedia artist, Andy Warhol is best known as a leading figure in the pop art movement, working in painting, sculpture, photography, film, and most notably, silkscreen. Warhol explored the relationship between popular culture, advertising, celebrity, and fine art. His work transcended the pieces typically seen in galleries, crafting images that employed household names, objects, and subjects. His use of stark, contrasting colors was eye-catching. His knowledge of composition made for thought-provoking canvases. And his pieces were socially and culturally aware, discussing the zeitgeist of that moment. Warhol's most celebrated creations are his silkscreens, as the general public will remember him for his Campbell Soup Can series and celebrity portraits. Like how Warhol used brands and popular imagery to convey his artistic intention, Nina Mickelsen uses bold icons like Tabasco hot sauce and double-flavored popsicles to craft her pop art images.
I chose Andy Warhol because I'm a silkscreen artist and mixed media artist, and I think if you are a silkscreen artist, Andy Warhol spirit hovers above you, particularly if you choose the style that I did, more graphic, very contemporary style to do screen printing. Andy Warhol did a lot of multiples, and that's how screen printing originally, way back when it first was invented, that's what it was for. But in my work, I actually do mostly monoprints. So I studied also Andy Warhol's work, and I kind of found my own way, and also my own style, I believe.